Hello everyone, I'm Marina and we are group 5 of episode 8 and our topic is Prohibition. This is Dina, Joey, Carolina, Kianjing and me, Melina. In our presentation we will have 4 parts. I'm going to talk about the US Constitution and the 18th and 23rd Amendment. Dina is going to talk about the reason that the alcohol has made illegal. Jean is going to talk about corruption, organized crime, Al Capone and tax evasion. Joy is going to talk about the St. Valentine's Day Massacre in 1929, and Carolina will make the conclusion. The Prohibition is an historic period that started in 1980. In 1919, the Congress passed the National Prohibition Act. And now, Dina will talk about why alcohol became illegal.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Dina. I'm going to speak about prohibition, why the reasons why it became illegal. Prohibition was a period of nearly 14 years of United States history. In this period, it was like transportation and selling, manufacture of alcohol illegal. A prohibition in this period or this time, it characterized by speakeasies, gangster, and the prostitute. In this prohibition, considered as or sometimes they refer it as a novel experiment, as it was the only and the first amendment to the United States that Constitution that after that repealed. After the American Revolution, the drink race it's become very rising. So the society and many groups try to face this or become against this. So they try to make like a group of they call it temperance movement. This movement blame the society or blame all the ills of the society to the alcohol. The most special things like crime and murder. And this temperance movement try to this temperance movement claim alcohol for everything. So they hope that prohibition will end all the evil and all these prostitute things or the murder of the punishment that the drunk husband may make a cost to his children or wife, or maybe the drunken work people maybe make an accident or something wrong with each other while they are working and while they are drinking in the lunch time. So they hope that prohibition will end all this, or the suffer of women in the society. Thank you. And now Marina will speak about the 18th amendment, the part of this 18th amendment. Thank you.
Hi, this is Marina. I'm going to talk about the US Constitution and the 18th and 23rd Amendment. First, I will talk about the passage of the Prohibition Amendment. In 1917, after the United States entered in World War I, President Wilson instituted temporary wartime prohibition in order to save grain for producing food. That same year, Congress created the 18th Amendments, which banned the making, selling, and transporting of alcoholic beverage in the whole United States. Despite very early signs of success, including a decline of arrests for drunkenness, for example, but those who wanted to keep drinking found even more way to do it. The illegal manufacturing and sale of liquor went on during the decade, along with the operation of speakeasies. It was also very easy to smuggle alcohol across the border from Canada and Caribbean, for example. And every large town at its peak disease or illegal tavern that serve alcohol and where we can find alcohol. Now I will talk about the end of Prohibition. Uh, After by 1932, announced the third year of Great Depression, creating job and revenue by legalizing the liquor industry became essential. In addition, Prohibition era encouraged the rise of criminal activity, when we will see later with Kanji. So the money to be made through bootlegging, encouraging this organized crime. But by the end of the decade, it was clear that Prohibition had failed on his goal. So many people called for repeal the 18th Amendment, and it was made on February 13 in 1932. The Congress approved the 23rd Amendment for repealing Prohibition. Thank you. Now Kyang-jin will continue with the mafia and the money.
Thank you, Marina. Hi, I'm Jane, and my key ideas are corruption and organized crime, and specifically the most infamous gangster Al Capone and tax evasion. And nobody was punished among all of the assailants that exploded 157 bombs in Chicago from October 1927 to January 1929. New York was worse. How was it possible? The reason was whole of the world, especially almost all the officers were corrupt. First of all, many public holders were undertake profit habitually, and so many gangsters started to join in organized criminal activities across the United States. Typically, they were located in New York, Kansas, LA, Detroit, Philadelphia, Boston, and Chicago. Also, selling illegal alcohol is very profitable for them. Al Capone, who was the most notorious gangster, earned $100 a minute from bootlegging. This is $1,500 today, even though he killed so many people in various ways. Even he was not in jail, but Frank Wilson, who was an accountant, worked for their government, discovered Al Capone's tax evasion between 1925 to end 1929. And finally, Al Capone was arrested in 1931. And tax is important thing the government budget, to manage the government budget and collection, or lack of it can be a good tool to catch criminals. And now Joe is going to explain about the Saint Valentine's Day massacre in 1929. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Joey. I will talk about the St. Valentine's Day massacre in 1929. Jean already mentioned that Al Capone, who was the most notorious gangster of all in Chicago. And one of Capone's longtime enemies, the Irish gangster George Bucks Moran, ran his bootlegging operations out of a garage on the north side of Chicago. February 14, 1929. Two of the men who were in police uniforms and the other three in ordinary civilian clothes enter gangster Moran's headquarters. And then they line up 7 of Moran's henchmen against a wall and shot them to death. 6 dead men and another who was dying were lying on the concrete floor. And the dying gangster Moran was taken to the hospital. When the police asked who shot him, he answered, "Nobody shot me." He died a few hours later and still refusing to say what had happened and who had done it. It's the notorious slaying on mob history. Who was behind the hit, the police or Al Capone? And the forensic weapon expert established that just 2 Tommy guns were fired. Neither was police gun. Everything was pointed to Al Capone, but he had an alibi. He was in Florida at that time. The police would have to get him on a different charge. And Jean already told us earlier, he was in fact arrested because of income tax evasion. And next, Carolina will make a conclusion for our group presentation. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I am Carolina. I am going to conclude our project about prohibition. The prohibition of alcohol at this time was made useful law at that time because that led people increase more consumption of alcohol and increase the violence and the creation the U.S. mafia, and many politicians and other officers that became corrupt and criminals, and that organization got rich in the decay, and it's evident that this prohibition caused a more harm than good. And for my entire group, we will say thank you for your attention, and I hope you learn about this project.